The NBC television network is suspending, one of the most popular and influential news anchors in the United States for 6 months without pay. Now, this comes after nightly news host Brian Williams admitted exaggerating a story about an Iraq war mission he was on in 2003.
Now, in a statement, the chief executive at NBC Universal says Williams' actions are, quote, inexcusable. However, he goes on to say that Williams deserves a second chance. CNN senior media correspondent Brian Stelter says Williams' career at NBC is, of course, in jeopardy.
Well, there really is no precedent for this, and many people don't believe Williams will ever come back to the anchor chair now that he'll be going away for such a long period of time. This is a severe suspension, but I'm not sure NBC had any other choice. They felt they had to impose some sort of harsh penalty given all of the tall tales that have been discovered that Williams had been telling over the years about an Iraq war mission in 2003, and there's also been scrutiny about other stories he's reported on over the years, most notably Hurricane Katrina and the aftermath of that storm.
The founder and editor-in-chief of The Wrap, Sharon Waxman, joins us now from Los Angeles to talk about this. Sharon, NBC News no longer seeming to stand behind Brian Williams. You've got this suspension for 6 months without pay in that memo announced by NBC News President Deborah Turnis. In your view, has Brian Williams' credibility been damaged beyond repair by now?
His credibility has been very badly damaged, and so has the credibility of NBC News in all of this. I think it's really devastating what's happened to them and the fact that they would have to take such a severe measure as a suspension. But I don't feel capable of passing judgment yet on what Brian Williams' credibility is or ought to be. I think we need to wait and see what the results of this investigation that NBC is conducting are. I mean, after all, Brian Williams has a very distinguished career as a reporter, as a news anchor, and that's his credibility up to this point has been very well deserved.
Why do you think he may have been encouraged to embellish these stories? Was he seduced by fame and entertainment outside of journalism? Can we critique the U.S. media landscape in general in some way?
Well, first of all, I'm sure Brian Williams is asking himself that very question right now. Why would I do that? Because it's clear that he did, at least as regards that 2003 taking RPG fire, sniper fire, into an RPG rocket into his helicopter that actually never happened as he was reporting in Iraq. There's a number of elements here. I mean, we have someone who is a true celebrity as well as a news anchor and a journalist. And this is not the first occasion where we're seeing, you know, the conflict and the tension that happens when somebody who has to play the role of a journalist and a dispassionate reporter and deal with big world stories and also themselves be a celebrity. At the same time, we know that Brian Williams has a real interest in entertainment and kind of a flair for it. I mean, he does like going on the late-night talk shows. He was on Jon Stewart's Daily Show a bazillion times. That's not the exact number, but I think it's something really more than over a dozen times, something like that. And he was really good on it. I mean, he has a sense of humor, and he pokes fun at himself, and he's fun to watch.
But isn't that the perfect platform to ask this question? Is that part of the problem? Jon Stewart, the news today is that he will be stepping down from his post at the Daily Show after this year. But you could argue that Jon Stewart, the comedian, has done more to highlight certain issues than many journalists. Isn't that kind of the changing landscape that we're seeing in some ways?
I would argue that. I absolutely believe that, and I would argue that the bigger news in terms of news culture today is that Jon Stewart's stepping down, and that should take first place above Brian Williams being suspended, because more people who are tastemakers and influencers and young people are getting their news from Jon Stewart, like it or not, than they are from Brian Williams' newscast. So that is a tremendously influential and thoughtful and truth-telling voice that we are going to be losing from our national conversation, and I, for one, deeply lament that loss.
Yeah, major changes in the U.S. media landscape. Sharon Waxman, founder and editor-in-chief of The Wrap, thanks for your insight tonight from Los Angeles.
Thanks, Errol.